Greetings to all my acupuncture colleagues and friends. It's Sam Collins, the coding and billing expert for acupuncture for you, for the American Acupuncture Council. Of course, let's talk about this month getting ourselves together to not have issues when we have a record reviewed. Now, I want everyone to be careful. You think, well, Sam, I only do cash, therefore I don't have to really keep. Yes, you do, of course. The state board requires it. So I don't care whether you're doing insurance or not. You have to document your services. It's what protects you. So let's go to the slides. Let's talk about what are the top issues for acupuncture coding, if you will, and failures to documentation. We have as a profession gotten better, but we still have a pretty high rate of issues for us that could be much, much better. And some of it is, I think, lack of understanding. So I want this to end because, as many of you are aware, I belong to what's called the Optum Health Coding and Reimbursement Committee. Now, no slings and arrows because I don't work for them. I'm an appointed panel member that helps to oversee coding that goes to physical medicine and acupuncture, chiropractic for that matter as well. And in all of our meetings, not all of them, but in one of the meetings we do, and we just had one of the issues is always about where are the failures that happen for documentation. And I want to focus in on that because I will put myself a little to blame. I've got to do a better job of getting information out there. That's why I'm including this today with you. Members, of course, pay special attention. But let's talk about what are the top failures that cause non-payment and or recoupment. And again, I'm even talking for patients that are paying cash if there's an issue. So for acupuncture, what you always have to think of for documentation, don't overcomplicate this. Just think one simple thing. Was what was billed accurately documented? And when I say what was billed, what was performed? So, by example, for us, that means acupuncture, of course. What about physical medicine? If you're doing heat or massage, those have to be documented. But also evaluation and management. Those are the three things you're mostly going to do. There's not too much outside of that. We have to make sure what's there. Not complicated, but what we have to focus in on is time. The highest rate of failed documentation is going to be for time. Now, historically, chiropractors, as you see here, has a 25% historic failure rate. They didn't give me a number for acupuncture, but they hinted towards it's a little bit higher. And so I would say acupuncturists are kind of fitting in where PTs are. They do the same thing. And I'm not sure why this is happening. When you have a time code, what do you think has to be there? Time. I think where the problem is often understanding what is the time for acupuncture. So for acupuncture, I want to be real clear. It's going to be the face-to-face time. Let's say, by example, you put needles in a patient and you leave them in the room to rest on needles for 15 or 20 minutes. Perfectly fine. But because you're not face-to-face, you don't count that time towards the active time. What's counted towards billing are the active time face-to-face and, of course, inserting needles. Now, if you're doing physical medicine services, it's the same thing, particularly things like massage, manual therapy, so massage, gua sha, exercises, but anything that's timed, they're going to have the 15-minute code as well, just as acupuncture. But I want you to keep in mind, it follows what's called the 8-minute rule. So even though the code says 15 minutes, you could technically spend as little as 8 minutes and still qualify for it. Now, I will tell you, for acupuncture, you're probably going to go well beyond 8 minutes. But there could be times it might be close because the first set may take a lot, but let's face it, additional sets don't often take a lot of additional things. So let's look at the acupuncture codes and see how they're written. Notice it says acupuncture, one or more needles. So you have to insert a needle. And then it says 15 minutes of personal one-on-one contact. So you got to be in the room with the patient, putting in needles or evaluating. Realize the time is not just the time of needling, but asking the patient how they're feeling. Maybe doing a tongue and pulse, a range of motion. In other words, there's pre-service evaluations associated, choosing the points, cleaning the points. I'm just highlighting it. It's all of those factors. So let's document it. So for an acupuncture visit, I want you to think of when you walk in the room and greet the patient, "Hi, Mrs. Jones, how are you?" Literally, the time starts. So you want to start documenting. As soon as I walk in the room, time has started, unless it's an exam day. But assuming it's an acupuncture day, as soon as you contact the patient, it's all a part of it. So when you look at it though, how does the 8-minute part of that work? Well, technically, it's a 15-minute code, but if you spend at least 8 minutes, you could bill it. So if you spent only 8 minutes and were with the patient, you were able to insert, remove, and get them out of the office in 8 minutes, you could still bill for that. Now, notice the way I say that. I don't think that's true, right? No one's going to be able to complete a visit in 8 minutes. So often that first set is going to be much, much longer. In fact, acupuncturists often spend way more time than you give yourself credit for, because often when someone goes to an acupuncturist, they're in the office easily an hour, 30 minutes minimum. That's probably going to be at least 2 sets. If it's going to 45, probably 3. But keep in mind, notice 3 units, 3 sets of acupuncture could be done in his 38 minutes. Now you might think, hey, Sam, what if I spend 8 minutes on the first one, 8 minutes on the second one, and 8 minutes on the third one? Could I bill for 3? Well, 8 plus 8 plus 8 is 24. How many units would 24 minutes equal? Only 2. So 8 minutes is the minimum for a single, but when you get to a double, it's 23. A triple is 38, with no single one less than 8. So let's just start marking the time down. Start getting in the habit. Set number 1, face-to-face time. And realize the face-to-face time is not just inserting, but if you ever remove or reposition, that would count. Obviously, if you just move to more insertions, just count the second set. Just keep in mind, we've got to make sure it matches. If you're going to bill 3 units, I want to see 38 minutes. What I want you to really make sure you're doing, though, is really just documenting the time. You're going to see here there's 2 methods that are acceptable. Now, this is from the AMA CPT guidelines, and they'll tell you the 2 methods are to say the number of minutes, easy, or you can put from and to time. Frankly, it doesn't matter which one. Do one or the other. Whichever one you choose is adequate. Just make sure it's accurate and it meets what you've billed. What you cannot do is say, I did a unit. A unit means, well, I did 8 minutes to 22. What you also can't indicate is a range. You can't say, well, I did between 8 and 15 minutes. Well, either you did 8 or 9 or 10, but not between. Give me a number. Don't say I did it times 2. Tell me the units. And don't simply check off, oh, I did acupuncture. Unfortunately, we see this a lot, and I will warn you, United Healthcare, when they look at your notes, that's what they're looking at. They're not looking as, I know everyone thinks they're looking at medical necessity, and I'm not saying they never do, but rarely. They're basically looking to make sure, hey, if you build for 3 sets, did you indicate 38 minutes with 3 different sessions of insertions? If you did, you're good. Don't overcomplicate it. And you'll see here, United's going to state the same thing. Time-based procedures must clearly indicate in the medical record the duration of the time. If it's not, it's going to come back. So make sure it's unacceptable for time codes to not mention time, not units, not a range. Okay, got to mention it. Or here's the big one. Sometimes you just don't mention it at all. Keep in mind, you spend a lot of time with patients. Document it. Now, what about E&M codes? E&M codes, you want to make sure you've got a reason. Like, why did I choose a 99203? What was the reason? Well, part of the reason could simply be time. So guess what you should do for E&M codes? I think oftentimes you might have a patient, maybe they've been to, I don't know, 4 or 5 different providers. They've been to chiropractors or other acupuncturists, or maybe not, medical doctors, PTs, before they see you. That might be a little more detailed history. So sometimes don't be afraid. You might have to spend 45 minutes. And while it may not be a severe problem, would it be appropriate to bill a code based on time? It could, so long as you document it. The other way of doing it, of course, is just by the medical decision making. You ever notice you go to a medical doctor, you'll be with her or him for like 10 minutes and they bill like a $400 code. You're like, oh my God, Well, it's not because of how much time, but it's what they're seeing you for, severity. So if you go to a cardiologist, guess what they're always going to bill? A 99205. Why? High severity potentially. So keep in mind for us, it's probably going to be down in 203s, two or more complaints, acute injuries. But what about a chronic condition? Maybe a 204. What I want though is a clear way that whenever you've chosen a code, always have somewhere in your notes the reason and realize that you're going to start to find, ooh, this is pretty common for me, which shouldn't be that hard to do. So here's the end of the day. Time services, make sure time is there. Physical medicine codes require the same. Acupuncture. Now, network members, get with me. Let's review some notes. Also, network members, keep in mind today or beginning March 1st, the California Workers' Compensation fee schedule updated. If you're a network member, get with me. Let's get you those new fees. There was a nice increase. Don't forget, Oregon is April 1st. If you're not a member, consider it because you're going to get an expert on staff for a pretty cheap amount per year. I wish you all the best. Continue to do a good job. And remember, it's more important to be good, okay, than it is to feel good, if you will. So be good to your patients. I'll be good to you. I'll see you next time, my friends.